I am Natalie, 34 years old, and I never dreamed my meticulously orchestrated celebration would shatter into heartbreak and scorched flesh. For weeks, I'd poured my soul into crafting the ultimate 10th birthday bash for my son Lucas, crowned by a bespoke galaxy cake that demanded endless hours of vision and detail. My sister, Amber, had always simmered with envy toward me, but I couldn't fathom she'd strike at my blameless boy. As Lucas stood there, glowing with joy before his fantasy cake, poised to whisper his wish, none of us sensed the instant that would splinter our family beyond repair. Before I dive deeper into this soul-crushing tale, tell me where you're tuning in from and smash that like and subscribe if you've ever shielded a loved one from your own blood. Lucas has been the beating heart of my universe since the second he entered this world. As our only child, every birthday carries profound weight for our little clan. But hitting 10 struck a deeper chord, double digits, as Lucas eagerly echoed for months in the build-up to the big day. My husband David and I were determined to make it flawless. Lucas ignited his obsession with astronomy at around 7. His bedroom ceiling gleams with glow-in-the-dark stars we meticulously mapped into precise constellations. He rattles off every planet, key moon, and endless stars without missing a beat. For his birthday, we went all out on a telescope stashed secretly in our garage, wrapped and primed for the epic unveiling. But the cake? That was Lucas's ultimate thrill. I devoted weeks partnering with a local bakery famed for one-of-a-kind masterpieces. The result was pure artistry, a 3-tiered wonder swirled with hand-painted galaxies, shimmering edible glitter stars and fondant planets. Inside, marbled blue and purple waves hit a shock of star-shaped sprinkles that would cascade out upon slicing. It set us back nearly $300, but witnessing Lucas's eyes ignite would justify every cent. Lurking behind this joy was a family rift festering for years. My sister Amber, 3 years my junior, has tangled our bond in knots from the start. As kids, she battled fiercely for every sliver of spotlight, especially from our dad, Richard. While I thrived in school, Amber chased drama's glare, on stage and in life. One searing memory from my 16th birthday haunts me still. My parents gifted me a stunning silver necklace with a tiny diamond pendant, my first genuine jewel. Midway through the party, it vanished from my neck. Hours later, we unearthed it in Amber's pocket. She swore I'd loaned it to her, ignoring the fact I'd worn it non-stop. Even with proof staring him down, Dad shielded her, insisting on some mix-up. This vicious cycle dragged into our grown-up lives. At my college graduation, Amber staggered in late and sloshed. When I shared my engagement to David, she hijacked the dinner with her own romance woes. Lucas's birth? She barely lingered at the hospital, whining about the baby scent sparking her migraine. Lately, Amber's world had crumbled hard. Her 5-year marriage imploded when her husband bolted for his colleague. She got axed from her marketing gig amid cuts. She slunk back to Dad's house as a stopgap, which only fueled her bitterness toward my steadier existence. David voiced doubts about inviting Amber to Lucas's shindig. She always twists everything to her orbit, he warned the night before while we strung up decor. You really want to gamble on that? I nursed worries too, but a flicker of hope clung for mending fences. She's his aunt after all, I countered. And Dad would fume if we snubbed her. Plus, it's a kiddo fest with 20 folks milling about. What real havoc could she unleash? My grandmother Eleanor was set to join us too. At 78, she stayed razor-sharp and served as our family's unyielding ethical anchor. In my youth, she was my refuge amid familial tempests, the one who pierced through facades and championed truth, no matter the sting. Eleanor had solo-parented Dad after Grandpa fell in Vietnam, juggling 2 jobs without ever tying the knot again. She embodied sacrifice and had zero tolerance for whining or theatrics. The eve of the party, I morphed our backyard into a cosmic paradise. David draped string lights to evoke twinkling stars. We positioned the telescope for kids to peer at the midday moon in shifts. Tables draped in deep blue cloth sparkled with silver confetti. Goodies featured mini astronaut figs, space rock sweets, and constellation guides. Lucas tossed and turned all night in restless buzz. I tucked him in, encircled by his space tomes and NASA prints, his gaze electric with hype. Tomorrow's gonna be epic, Mom, he murmured. Feel it. I pressed a kiss to his brow and vowed perfection. Little did I know how catastrophically off base I'd be. or how a life-affirming fest would nearly unravel our family's core. If only I could rewind to that serene instant and brace for the storm brewing. Party morning dawned pristine. Sunshine bathing the April air in a balmy 70 degrees. Lucas bolted awake at 6:30, storming our room in his NASA tea and cosmic kicks, primed eons before guests. "Today I'm a full decade," he declared with chest-puffing pride, springing on our bed's edge. David grumbled playfully and hauled himself up. "The birthday cosmonaut touches down," he quipped, wrapping Lucas in a squeeze. Launch sequence to party mode engaged. By noon, our pad stood ready for the swarm of hyped tweens and kin. The cake was due at 2 right pre-kickoff. Dad Richard rolled in early, volunteering for final tweaks, though he mostly scrolled his phone. "Amber showing?" He slipped in casually, tension threading his tone. "She promised," I shot back, stacking juice packs in the chiller. "Texted her this AM to double-check." Richard dipped his head, easing visibly. "She's navigating rough waters lately, Natalie. Cut her slack if she's off-kilter." I clamped down on retorting that Amber's rough waters had raged for most of her 31 spins. Instead, I bobbed agreement and plowed on with setup. Guests trickled in from 2:30. Lucas's top pal Tyler and folks, lugging a massive rocket-wrapped Prezi. Tyler and Lucas dashed yardward to scout David's space games. More kids and parents poured in, flooding our space with thrilled buzz and giggles. Grandma Eleanor swept in clad in blue, toting a modest yet spot-on gift. A tome on spacefaring women that Lucas would devour. She crushed me in an embrace and breathed, "It all shines, darling. You've woven magic." The cake dropped precisely, surpassing my wildest visions. I stowed it gingerly in the garage fridge, hoarding the wow for prime time. 20 kiddos roamed our yard's orbital outpost, tackling quests for swag and queuing at the scope. By 3:30 the crowd was full, save for Amber. I tried not to let it rattle me, channeling my energy into topping off snack bowls and aiding David in queuing up the next game. Then, right as we geared up for the scavenger hunt chasing hidden moon rocks across the yard, Amber burst onto the scene. She strutted in a skin-tight black dress, better suited for a swanky cocktail lounge than a kid's bash, clutching a gift box from a high-end electronics shop. I clocked it instantly. She wobbled just a bit, her grin stretched too broad, her cackle echoing too sharp. She'd been hitting the bottle. "There's my birthday champ," she boomed, slicing through a cluster of parents to zero in on Lucas. She jammed the box into his grip. "Your top aunt scored you something epic." Lucas, ever the gentleman, murmured thanks and parked the gift with the pile for unwrap time. "We're kicking off a game, Aunt Amber. Wanna jump in?" "Games are kid stuff," she brushed off. "I'll hang with the grown-ups and spectate." The hunt kicked off, kids bolting every which way, hunting those painted stones. I stole glances at Amber as she zeroed in on the drink station, snubbing the punch for the adult wine stash. Dad magnetized right to her flank, their heads dipping close in hushed chat. "She's already sloshed to the gills," Eleanor whispered at my side, her gaze locked on Amber. "And Richard's fanning the flames like always." "It's okay," I muttered on autopilot, though dread gnawed my gut raw. As long as the kiddos are buzzing with fun. The day rolled on with gift unwrapping, space trivia showdowns, and a rocket-shaped piñata bash. Lucas thrived in his zone, radiating pure bliss amid his buddies. I started unwinding, daring to hope we'd sail through unscathed after all. But through it all, Amber's snide jabs crept louder into my orbit. "Must be sweet affording this extravagance for a kiddie gig." She sniped to another parent while eyeing the telescope. "Some folks snag all the breaks." When Lucas cracked open her present, a pricey gaming rig I knew she couldn't swing in her cash crunch, she broadcast the tag loud for the crowd. "Only premium for my nephew. $700's chump change when love's in play." Dad glowed with bogus pride at her splurge, blind to the gift's overkill and her spiraling antics. David locked eyes with me from across the grass, his look screaming worry laced with "told you so." As the hours ticked, Amber's glass stayed eternally topped, her barbs sharpening like knives. She pinned me in the kitchen while I prepped the cake rollout. "Such a flawless mom," she slurred, propping on the counter. "Flawless pad, flawless hubby, flawless sprout. Ever wear out from being so freaking flawless, Natalie?" "Amber, this is Lucas's spotlight," I hushed. "Can we skip this now?" "Skip what?" "Just chatting with my dear sis." Her smirk never touched her eyes. Dad was raving how stellar you are pulling off this cosmic blowout. He's bursting with pride. I smelled bull on that chat recap, but I dodged the bait. Can you rally folks for cake? Gotta fetch it from the garage. Amber's gaze slit narrow, but she bobbed agreement and shuffled yardward. I stole a beat to steady my nerves, chanting inwardly that the end was near. Just cake, a couple more rounds, then Exodus. We could tough it out. With David's muscle, I gingerly hauled the galactic stunner from garage to yard. A unified gasp erupted from the crowd, chased by kids' hyped buzz. Lucas's eyes ballooned, his jaw dropping in sheer awe. "Mom, it's unreal," he gasped, orbiting the table for full views. "Check it, Andromeda Galaxy vibes right there." The throng mobbed close, phones hoisted to snag the magic. My chest swelled with raw pride and fierce love, soaking in Lucas's glow. For that fleeting, radiant second, perfection reigned. I had zero clue that in under 5 minutes it'd all implode. The galaxy cake commanded the table's heart, 3 levels of stellar marvel. The base swirled deep purple into inky blue, speckled with many edible stars twinkling in the sun's glare. The mid-tier burst with nebula whirls in fiery pinks and greens, topped by our solar system in precise fondant orbs. 10 candles clustered into a constellation, primed for ignition. Lucas faced his edible opus, eyes mirroring a kid's raw wonder at tangible enchantment. Pals huddled tight, spellbound by the sugary spectacle. Even grown-ups hit pause on chit-chat to ogle the craft. "Wish for something cosmic," David teased, tousling Lucas's locks while sparking candles one by one. Flames cast flickering shadows over iced cosmos. I launched the birthday tune, voices swelling in chorus. Lucas squeezed his lids shut, zeroing in on his dream. Song-wrapped, he inhaled deep, set to snuff the lights and seal his decade. That's when chaos struck. In a blur so quick I scarcely caught the wind-up, Amber lunged from Dad's side, slamming her palm on Lucas's skull. With brutal shove, she dunked his face smack into the cake, brow and nose crunching the upper tier amid flaming wicks. Singing "Slice Dead." Lucas shrieked, icing muffling the cry, then yanked back, face smeared in blue-purple sludge. But ice gripped my veins at the budding red scar on his right cheek, a candle's vicious kiss. "Lucas!" I bolted, yanking him from the wreckage. His gaze bulged in terror and agony, tears carving paths through the mess. The yard plunged into tomb silence. 20 kids gawked in dread. Parents petrified mid-word. Dad's jaw unhinged in shock. Amber's laugh hacked the quiet. "Chill out. It's a cake smash. Total tradition." Lucas whined as I tenderly swabbed frosting from his eyes. "Mom, it stings," he breathed, fingering his cheek where a furious red blister swelled. "David, ice now." I barked, voice coiled in leashed frenzy. He was already charging indoors. "What the hell were you thinking?" I wheeled on Amber, rage cracking my tone. Candles were blazing. "Oh, come on. Barely a singe." Amber eye-rolled, snatching her wine. "Kids bounce back. He'll survive." Tyler's mom, a nurse, edged in. "Let me check Lucas," she soothed, scanning his cheek. "Minor first degree, but treat it stat." David hustled back with ice and a fresh towel, which she pressed gently to the wound. Lucas battled sobs before his crew, lower lip quaking. "I think you need to bounce," I leveled at Amber, tone hushed but steel. "For real?" Amber's eyes ballooned in fake shock. "It was a gag, Natalie. Geez, you blow everything up." Dad finally piped up, advancing to grip Amber's shoulder. "Easy, Natalie. Amber meant no foul. Party mishaps happen. Recall when we smashed your cake on your 12th? His shield of her stunt hit me like a gut punch of betrayal. "Dad, I was not shoved into flaming candles on my 12th birthday." Lucas has a burn scarring his face. A minuscule singe, Amber butted in, hardly visible. And the cake was destined for slicing regardless. "That's beside the point," David snapped, his usual steady calm cracking under fury. "You intentionally harmed our boy on his special day." Eleanor advanced, her petite stature suddenly dominating the space with raw authority. "Richard," she leveled at my father, her tone even yet icy. "Are you truly backing this madness?" My father squirmed, uneasy. "I'm merely noting mishaps occur, Mom. The kids are still enjoying, aren't they, kids?" The children stayed mute, some gazing at their shoes, others fixated on the demolished cake. One little girl wept softly. This was no mishap, Eleanor declared bluntly. And I believe you recognize that, Richard. Parents started whispering among themselves, a few glancing at phone clocks, hunting for polite escapes from the mounting tension. Some neared me softly, murmuring condolences and offers to tidy the mess. Let's shift indoors and clean Lucas up right, Tyler's mom proposed diplomatically. Perhaps the kids could catch a flick while you handle the fallout. I dipped my head in thanks, still reeling in shock and rage, my mind scrambling for any solid plan. David herded the children inside as I tended Lucas in the kitchen, delicately rinsing frosting from his locks and cheeks, extra gentle around the seared spot. Why'd Aunt Amber do it, Mom? Lucas whispered, his voice tiny. The bewilderment in his gaze stung worse than any wound. Is she furious with me? No, darling, I soothed him, my chest twisting at how feeble my words felt. Aunt Amber chose horribly wrong. It wasn't about you at all. From the living room, Amber's pitch escalated, still justifying her chaos to the lingering grown-ups. It's tradition, cake smashes happen everywhere. You're treating me like I unleashed some atrocity. My father's tone chimed in. Amber said sorry. What else do you demand? She never apologized, David countered sharply. Not even once. I stepped back to the yard with Lucas, his face scrubbed clean but marred by a vicious red streak on his right cheek. The bakery had tossed in matching cupcakes with the order, which David now plated as a makeshift fix. See, champ? He said with strained upbeat. We've got stellar space cupcakes for all and you snag first dibs. Lucas mustered a grin, but I saw the day's spark utterly extinguished in him. Parents rounded up their kids, offering courteous yet rushed farewells. The party's enchanted vibe lay in utter ruins. You've wrecked his birthday, I spat at Amber as Lucas fixated on picking a treat. I need you gone now. Fine, she snarled, snatching her bag. I spice up this dull fest and get villainized. Classic Natalie, eternal martyr. My father wedged between us. Natalie, you're blowing it up. Just a dumb joke that skewed a tad. Lucas is okay. He is not okay, I seethed, hushing to spare Lucas's ears. He's got a burn on his face and his day's demolished. If you boot Amber, I'm out too, my father proclaimed, like his threat might sway me. Your call, David interjected, voice breaking no debate. But either way, this gathering's done for you both. Eleanor lingered quietly by Lucas, her palm soft on his shoulder as she aided his cupcake choice. Her gaze, though, stayed glued to the brewing clash across the lawn. I'd soon discover how pivotal that silent watch would turn out. As Amber and my father collected their stuff to bail, neither bothering with a real sorry to Lucas, something snapped deep within me. This transcended a trashed cake or a fleeting burn that'd mend. This echoed decades of poisonous antics, pardoned, propped up, and prolonged. This marked my blameless kid as the newest bullseye in a lifelong cycle I'd suffered. I eyed them heading to Dad's car, Amber stealing a backward glance laced not with regret, but near triumph. In that heartbeat I sensed a shift was inevitable. I just hadn't grasped how seismic it'd prove, or that my serene, honorable grandma would ignite the blast to crumble our family's bedrock eternally. The rest of Lucas's birthday blurred in strained grins and empty pep. David and I strained to rescue the fest, dishing cupcakes and rallying last games, but the harm was sealed. The kids turned somber, the parents stiff and dripping pity. By 5:30, all had cleared out save Eleanor, who wordlessly pitched in on yard cleanup. The mangled galaxy cake loomed on the table, a gut-wrenching echo of the ordeal. Lucas's face imprint glared from the top layer, ringed by snapped candles and streaked icing. It screamed brutality, a massacre of kid bliss. What now with it? David murmured as we eyed the wreckage. Trash it, I bit out, stunned by my own venom. All that effort, all that cash wasted. Eleanor neared with a trash sack. I'll manage this. Go see to Lucas? I tracked my son to his room, already in PJs way too soon. He perched on his bed, tinkering with his fresh telescope, the sole gleam in erect day. The cheek burn had dulled to faint crimson, but I knew the soul scar plunged deeper. How's it going, Space Commander? I ventured, settling next to him. Lucas shrugged, dodging my gaze. It's fine, Mom. The party wasn't awful. His bid to ease me shattered my heart. Lucas, today's mess wasn't fine. Your aunt messed up bad and Grandpa too for backing her. Grandpa always sides with Aunt Amber, Lucas noted with kid-sharp insight, even on her nasty stuff. Yeah, I confessed, seeing I couldn't veil this family rot anymore. That's a loop that's spun forever. Lucas grazed his cheek soft. Why's Aunt Amber hate me? Oh honey, I drew him tight. Aunt Amber doesn't hate you. She's miserable in her world, and sometimes miserable folks lash out 'cause they're aching. That's dumb, Lucas proclaimed with decade-old conviction. When I'm down, I don't smash faces in cakes. Amid the wreckage, I chuckled. You're spot on. It is dumb and no adult should pull that. After bedding Lucas early, drained from the heart-wrenching day, I met David and Eleanor in the kitchen. David scrubbed plates with brutal force, jaw locked in rage. I warned inviting her was trouble, he said as I walked in. Sorry, but I did. I know, I exhaled, slumping in a seat. I never dreamed she'd aim at Lucas. Me sure, but not a kid, not her kin. Eleanor faced me across the table, hands clasped. In the stark light, she seemed beyond her 78 years, creases etched deeper. This simmered for ages, she murmured. Richard's babied Amber's antics from the cradle, and now she's boundary-free. Dad rang while you were up, David shared, toweling his hands. Said we owe Amber sorry for shaming her publicly. Imagine? Rage flared anew in me. We owe her sorry? Our boy's got a face burn. Richard has always turned a blind eye to Amber's flaws, Eleanor noted. But this breaches every boundary. Harming a child is beyond redemption. We lingered in heavy silence, the fridge's low drone and far-off traffic the only intruders. I felt utterly empty, stripped of feeling yet boiling with unresolved rage. What next? I finally voiced, glancing between my husband and Grandma. Do we act like it vanished come next encounter? Resume tiptoeing around Amber's minefield? David propped against the counter, arms locked tight. I won't let her near Lucas again. Not without real help, at least. I bobbed in fierce accord. But Dad? He'll never buy it. He'll brand us hysterical and unjust. Then maybe Richard must pick a side, Eleanor declared, her tone unyielding. Back his daughter safeguarding her boy, or keep fueling ruinous chaos. She stood with startling vigor for her years. Time for me to go. Night's deepening. I escorted her to the exit, abruptly dreading her departure. Eleanor had forever been my anchor. Sanity's whisper amid familial storms. What would you choose, Grandma? I probed as she grabbed her bag. Eleanor halted, fingers on the knob. I'd recall my prime duty as shielding my child, not coddling grown fools who ought to know better. She brushed a soft kiss on my cheek. Rest up, Natalie. Dawn brings fresh starts. Once she vanished, David and I slumped on the sofa in weary quiet, souls battered. I can't unsee it, I confessed. Lucas's stunned gaze as she thrust him down. That frozen hush before his sobs erupted. David draped an arm over me. We ought to record the burn snap pics just in case. In case of what? I pressed, though his hint sank in deep. In case it spirals, in case proofs demanded down the line. His words darkened. I don't trust Amber one bit. And your dad's zero on reining her in. We captured shots of Lucas's cheek in his slumber, the raw red blaze stark on his ghostly skin. Then we slipped to our room. But sleep evaded us both that endless night. Dawn unleashed a storm of texts from kin who'd caught twisted tales of the clash. Cousin Lisa grilled if Amber really got booted from the bash. Aunt Susan fretted over Lucas but preached family pardons kin. Strikingly, no one pinned blame on Amber's deeds. I was mid-pour on coffee when my phone shrilled, Eleanor's ID glaring. Grandma morning I picked up. Natalie. Her timbre stretched taut, unnatural. No, I'm at Richard's place. What? Why? I slammed my mug down, jolted. Words need airing and I'll air them. Tried you earlier, no pickup. I scanned missed calls, yep, her attempt at 6 a.m. sharp. Grandma, what's your play? What begged doing ages back, she teased mysteriously. Stay put with Lucas. I'll ring post-rap. The line died before my pushback. Dread surged like a tide. Eleanor shunned showdowns or theatrics. Her scheme had to be grave. David shuffled into the kitchen, scrubbing sleep from his lids. Who called? Grandma, I muttered, phone still clutched. She's at Dad's where Amber's crashing. Says she'll voice what's overdue. David's brows skyrocketed. So not Eleanor. Nope, I concurred, gut twisting tight. It isn't. My phone pinged anew. A text from Dad. What in blazes? You dispatch your grandma to menace us? Menace? David peered over my shoulder. What's he on about? Before reply, Amber's message flashed. Your nutjob grandma's here bat in hand. Fetch her pre-cops. David and I swapped panicked stares. No way, I gasped. Eleanor wouldn't. She's 78. We got a hit there, David resolved, bolting to dress. I'll hold Lucas. You sort the madness. 20 minutes on, I raced my car down the well-worn path to my old home. Now Dad's solo pad save Amber's temp squat. My brain spun wild visions, none clicking. Eleanor, pinnacle of poise and logic, bat swinging? It reeked of sick farce. Pulling driveway, I spied her tidy blue sedan curbside. House facade screamed calm. Zero hints of inner turmoil. I neared the door wary, chimed the bell, waited, pulse thundering. What awaited inside would reshape our clan eternally. In twists I'd never foreseen. Dad yanked the door, fury etched deep. About time, he snorted, shifting for entry. Maybe you'll drill sense into your grandma. The living room unfolded as I crossed in. The vista so otherworldly I blinked, doubting wakefulness. Eleanor perched dainty on sofa's rim, spine arrow straight per usual, purse aligned neat beside. And yes, leaned on the coffee table, an ancient wooden bat, time-scuffed yet sturdy. Amber stalked by the window, locks wild, clad in yesterday's rumpled garb. Her eyes gleamed red-edged, from tears or insomnia unclear. Natalie Eleanor hailed me placid like casual tea time. Good you're here. We were hashing yesterday's mess. With a bat? I burst, nodding at the wood. Oh this? Eleanor eyed it fresh like debut sighting. Mere prop for discourse. Untouched since placement. She hauled a weapon here, Dad bellowed, arms flailing. Menaced us. Eleanor eye rolled. A shock from her era. Quit the hysterics, Richard. I just craved undivided ears. Nailed it. What on earth's unfolding? I demanded, grappling the freakish scene. Your grandma's unhinged, Amber hissed, arms barred in guard. Stormed in at 7 a.m., hammering the door with that demanding yesterday's gab. Like it was epic. Eleanor's facade stayed tranquil, eyes icing over. I toted the bat your grandpa's, Richard, she detailed. The one he schooled you baseball with at Lucas's age. Figured it'd spark recall on child guarding. Dad fidgeted, gaze darting batward. I flashed on tales of Grandpa gone pre my birth, coaching Dad in their tiny yard. One of his scarce sunny kid yarns. Enough's enough, Dad barked, conviction thin. Can't barge waving bats over a minor birthday gag. A gag? Eleanor's pitch held steady, but forged steel I'd seldom caught. Refresh your fogged mind on facts. Your daughter, full grown at 31, manhandled your 10-year-old grandkid on his big day, inflicting real injury. You shielded it, then begged victims to grovel to the aggressor. Which slice of that rings as a prank to you, Richard? My father gaped, then clamped shut without a word. I didn't assault a soul, Amber jumped in. It was a cake smash. Folks pull it off at parties constantly, for 1-year-olds on their debuts, with cakes built for the mess and zero flames flickering. Eleanor set her straight. Not on 10-year-olds with lavish bespoke creations they haven't savored yet. But you grasped that, didn't you? Amber averted her eyes, crumbling under Eleanor's unyielding stare. I showed up today, Eleanor pressed on, because I've witnessed this family's poison erode for decades. I've bitten my tongue, figuring it wasn't my turf to meddle in Richard's parenting of his girls. That was my blunder, one I'm mending now. She dipped into her purse and fished out her phone. I filmed Lucas unwrapping gifts yesterday. Kept rolling as the cake emerged. Care to relive it? The precise heartbeat when kid glee flips to agony and bewilderment. Forgoing their nods, Eleanor hit play, angling the screen at my dad and sis. The tinny happy birthday swelled in the hush, chased by dead air and Lucas's piercing wail. Study his face, Richard, Eleanor commanded. Beyond the raw hurt, the betrayal, the disarray. Your grandboy believed he was secure in kin's circle, and in a flash that faith shattered. My father's complexion blanched. The footage, stripped of yesterday's frenzy and his knee-jerk shield for Amber, struck him raw. Now Eleanor forged ahead, pocketing her device. Let me spin a tale you might have buried. At 32, my hubby perished in Vietnam, stranding me solo with Richard, then 7. My brother tossed us a lifeline, crash with his clan to ease bills. One supper. He backhanded Richard for grabbing seconds pre-full serves. Just once, no bruise left. She halted, gaze boring into my father. Recall my move, Richard? He dipped his head slow, blood fleeing his features. I bundled our gear that eve, we ghosted pre-dawn. Slaved 2 gigs for shelter overhead rather than risk my boy near harm. 'Cause that's parenthood's core, guard your young, cost be damned, threat from whomsoever. Even blood, especially blood. Silence crashed down, her declaration echoing like thunder. Emotion surged in me, unveiling my grandma anew. The soft-spoken lady preaching unity harbored iron resolve when stakes soared. So here we stand, Eleanor rapped, grasping the bat. She cradled it not as menace but sacred, tracing weathered grains with wrinkled digits. I hauled this for emphasis, not brutality's vow but legacy's echo. What's yours, Richard? A dad schooling his girl that kid harm's fine? A gramps flunking his grandson's shield? Your desired epitaph? My father collapsed into an armchair, abruptly wearing all 65 years heavy. Never framed it so, he murmured faint. It was mere cake, a botched jest. It transcended cake forever. I unearthed my voice. It was Amber's bile you're coddling. A loop chaining my whole existence. Yesterday breached sacred ground 'cause it scarred my boy, my flesh, and I won't tolerate its spin onward. Amber snorted derisive. Ever the saint, huh, Natalie? Golden child, model mom. Some air. Errors stumble accidental, I shot back, tone anchored amid seething fury. Your act? Calculated. You spied a shot to gut my son's magic, and seized it, zero flinch. I was buzzed, she whined feeble. Another pick, no part in Eleanor sliced. And Richard, you've peddled alibis for her antics from toddlerhood. I observed, betting you'd fence her right eventually. Wrong call, staying mum. My father darted eyes tween Eleanor, Amber, me, turmoil carving his brow. Maybe first ever. He faced fallout from lifetimes of bias and propping. What do you demand? He croaked, beaten. Reckoning, I stated plain for you pair. Own the deed, grovel true to Lucas, vow shift so this ghost never haunts. And if we skip? Amber dared, her fire flickering dim. Eleanor rose fluid for her era, bat dangling lax. Then choices locked, Natalie picks hers. But grasp this duo. I've clocked enough years to know kins forged in deeds, not veins. If trust's void for borders and kid mercy, you've zero claim on his world. She strode doorward, pausing for a backward pierce at my father. That's yours, Richard. A nudge on the brink. Ties to daughter and grandson, or endless fueling harm to both. Pick smart. With that she vanished, stranding us trio in electric hush, brimming with unvoiced storms and forks to forge our clan's fate. I eyed my father and sister, vision sharp and fresh. Lucas's sear will fade, I breathed soft. But his echo of yesterday, and tomorrow's tide etches eternal. Ditto for me. Ball's yours. Pivoting to trail my grandma out, I sensed the clash had upended our family's core. Mend or eternal rift? Veil lifted, but ancient grooves lay pulverized. Good or grim, rewind was barred. The stretch post Eleanor's bat standoff unraveled in edgy chats and gut-wrench revelations. I rolled home from Dad's to spy David and Lucas crafting a Lego orbital hub. A blatant dodge from kin chaos. Lucas's cheek still flaunted the Wix bite, badge of scars seen and veiled. How'd it unfold? David probed once Lucas dashed roomward for extra bricks. Bizarre, I confessed, still digesting Dawn's whirl. Grandma legit toted Dad's antique bat sans threats, just forced ears open. For real? Ears pricked, perhaps debut. David's brows arched. Eleanor, our cookie queen, puzzle whiz. Layers I missed, I shared, relaying her saga of fleeing brother's pad to shield young Dad. Steelier than guessed. That dusk my phone trilled, Dad's ID glaring. I slipped porchward for the call, peering in as David prepped Lucas for sleep. Natalie, Dad ventured, timbre wobbly rare. Been mulling Grandma's words, yesterday's mess. I held mute, poised. Always chased harmony, he plowed. With Amber alibis galore. Post Mom's bolt, I couldn't bear more loss. Nod to Mom's ditch when I hit 12, Amber 9. Scarce touch scar dangled. Dad, alibis for Amber ain't peace. It's greenlighting pain to others. Yesterday nailed Lucas. Flesh wounded him. I get it, he whispered low. That clip, his sob. I blurred it, defending Amber, blind to the blatant. And now? I nudged. Wanna sorry Lucas you David, face to face if cleared. Amber? A weighty exhale hissed. She's crumbling, Natalie. Post your exit, she shattered total. She admitted she'd been drowning in booze ever since the divorce ripped through her life. Whispered how she envied our little family. The rock-solid stability we clung to. She's finally agreed to open up to someone, a therapist. It's a fragile beginning. I nodded, but deep down it couldn't wipe away the nightmare of what she'd done. No, it sure as hell didn't. But maybe, just maybe, it's the first shaky step to ensuring that horror never repeats. We set it up for my father to come by the next weekend alone. No shadows of her lingering. Amber wouldn't set foot in our home until she proved real, gut-wrenching change, and until Lucas could look at her without that haunted flinch. When I broke the news to David, his eyes narrowed in doubt. One tense chat with your grandmother, and suddenly they're both enlightened? Call bullshit. I don't think it's that cut and dried, I confessed, my voice tight. Dad sounded raw, genuine. But this toxic cycle's been grinding on for decades. True transformation? That'll demand blood, sweat, and time, if it even sparks at all. Word of the birthday catastrophe and its brutal fallout tore through our extended family like a raging inferno. Lines drawn in the sand before the smoke cleared. My Aunt Susan, Dad's sister, rang me up in a fury, not over Amber's madness, but our hysterical overreach and Eleanor's wild intrusion. Family messes stay locked inside the family, she preached, her tone dripping with judgment. Threatening folks with baseball bats. What on earth will the neighbors whisper? I give a damn more about my boy's life than idle chatter. I shot back, slamming the phone down. My cousin Lisa, though, slid into my messages with fierce solidarity. About damn time someone called Amber out, she typed. She skated by on excuses for years, 'cause Uncle Richard's always her shield. As the week dragged on, the cracks in our family splintered wide open, raw and irreversible. Those chasing fake peace and the illusion of togetherness rallied behind Amber and my father. The ones demanding real reckoning, shielding the innocent. They backed Eleanor's bold stand and our iron boundaries. Lucas, in the midst of it, headed back to school with a tiny bandage hiding the angry burn on his cheek. When his friends prodded, he stated it flat out. My aunt shoved my face into my birthday cake while the candles were still blazing, 'cause she's got problems. His kid's simple truth, stripped of all the twisted adult baggage, cut through like a breath of fresh air. The weekend hit like a storm front, delivering my father to our porch. He hovered there awkwardly, clutching a modest gift bag, his face etched with years he hadn't worn at the party just 7 days prior. Is Lucas around? He murmured after I pulled him inside. He's out back with David, rigging up his telescope for the stars tonight. I waved toward the living room. We need to hash this out first, before you lay eyes on him. My father dipped his head, trailing me to the sofa. He set the bag on the coffee table, silent about it. How's Amber holding up? I forced out, more duty than care. She had her debut therapy dive yesterday, he said. The doc flagged booze as fuel to her fires, pushed a support group. Will she bite? He shrugged, shadows in his eyes. Claims she will. God, I hope. He stalled, twisting his watch like a lifeline. I've been soul-searching, Natalie, about how I favored Amber over you all these years. That's the understatement of the century, I snapped, bitterness slicing through. After your mom vanished, Amber shattered. You? You seemed unbreakable, handling the chaos solo. I fooled myself into thinking you didn't crave my help as bad. It was the same worn-out lie I'd swallowed my whole life. I was 12, Dad. Not unbreakable, just petrified. I buried it deeper than she did. I see it now, he owned up. Or I'm clawing to see it. Your grandmother's been brutally blunt this week. Despite the ache, a faint smile tugged at me. I bet she has. Here's the kicker, my father pressed on. I reckon I've shortchanged Amber too in my own twisted way. By never pinning her down, I robbed her of growing up, of facing the fallout. It was a jolt of wisdom from a guy who dodged it for ages. You're right, I conceded. But spotting the rot doesn't magically purge it. No, he echoed. But it's a spark. David materialized at the patio door, Lucas peering from behind, glued to the telescope. My husband arched a brow in wordless query. I nodded. Go ahead, bring him in. My boy stepped forward warily, his gaze snagging on that cheek bandage. His face was a mask, rare for my wide-open kid. "Hi, Grandpa," he uttered, halting at a safe distance. "Lucas," my father's voice splintered. "I'm here to say I'm sorry for the party mess, for failing to shield you like a grandpa's sworn to." Lucas mulled it over. "Aunt Amber's the one who shoved me. She did, and I should have raged at her for it, not covered her ass. That was dead wrong." "Is she sorry?" Lucas drilled, pure kid candor. My father faltered. "She swears she is. She's chasing help for her demons. They twisted her actions, but no excuse for scarring you." Lucas bobbed his head, pondering. "Great-grandma said sometimes grown-ups screw up bad, and others gotta enforce the fallout." My father blinked, then let out a ragged laugh. "Your great-grandma's sharper than I've ever been." He nodded at the bag. "Brought you this not to patch the unpatchable, 'cause no gift erases pain. Just figured it'd suit your telescope dreams." Lucas glanced my way for the green light before edging close. He unearthed a star chart book and fancy lens filters. "These spotlight planetary secrets," my father explained. "Quiz the science shop folks on newbie gear." "Thanks," Lucas mumbled, his space spark dimmed. "Mind showing me the ropes on that scope?" My father ventured. "Your folks are cool." Lucas checked us. David tipped a subtle yes. "For a bit, we're middle-line for tonight." As Lucas guided my father out, David lingered. "You holding?" he whispered. "I think," I breathed. Eyes locked on the window where Lucas demoed the scope with guarded flair. "But this? Barely the dawn. One sorry doesn't shatter decades of damage." "Nah," David murmured. "But it's a pulse." The coming months ushered in wary shifts to our fractured clan. My father pushed hard to bond with Lucas on his turf, diving deep into his stargazing obsession and school buzz. He showed for the science fair solo, no Amber, beaming over Lucas's solar setup, snagging third. Amber stuck to therapy and per dad dove into booze meetings with real grit. She mailed Lucas a raw, handwritten sorry, not flawless but owning the pain sans dodges. Lucas scanned it slow, then tucked it away wordless. "Wanna see Aunt Amber?" I probed weeks on. He weighed it heavy. "Not yet," he ruled. "Maybe once my face loses the mark." That faint burn had scarred his cheek, tiny, near invisible unless you hunted, but an eternal echo of that cursed birthday. The doc swore time would bleach it gone. "Eleanor?" She morphed into Lucas's family legend, once the Bat Showdown tale fully unleashed. "Great-grandma's like a ninja," he proclaimed with wide-eyed awe. Silent but fierce. The extended family stayed splintered, raw edges exposed. Thanksgiving loomed like a battlefield, forcing tense barters over who showed where. My Aunt Susan threw a dinner welcoming Amber but slamming the door on us. My father turned her down flat, opting to huddle with us and Eleanor for a quieter feast. Families shift, Eleanor mused as we hustled through Thanksgiving prep side by side. Sometimes they gotta shatter to mend right, like a bone botched in setting. Glancing around our kitchen, at David coaching Lucas on gravy magic, at my father laying the table with deliberate care, at Eleanor herself, her arthritis-twisted hand still commanding the dough, I felt her truth sink in. Our clan had cracked wide, but maybe along faults begging to split. What endured was leaner yet tougher. Rooted in respect, not duty. In reckoning, not cover-ups. It wasn't flawless and the mending dragged on, but it pulsed with authenticity. And for that, amid the wreckage, a real gratitude swelled in me. 6 months post that birthday hell, spring had melted into summer's heat. The faint scar on Lucas's cheek had blurred till only eagle eyes spotted it. A whisper-thin crescent ghosting when he grinned. The heart wounds, though, lingered deeper, fading slower. Yet glimmers of mending shone in quiet, pivotal shifts. We marked Lucas's half-birthday low-key. Just our core crew, Eleanor and his 2 tightest pals. The cake? Humble but stunning. A chocolate dream sprinkled with starry edibles. Candle time hit and Lucas paused, a shadow of trauma flickering before he surged ahead. Wish fierce and sure. "No faceplants today," he quipped after, a spark of kid grit turning pain to punchline, proving that bounce-back kids wield like weapons. Amber's trek to owning her mess and patching up? Bumpy but dogged. Per my father, she'd clung to therapy in group huddles. 3 months booze-free had sharpened her edges, unearthing brutal truths about her toxic loops. I've envied you since we were little. She spilled in a guarded coffee clash. Just us, neutral ground. You were always so on it, so composed. Dad leaned on you as the rock, even while showering me with fuss. I hated both somehow. I never felt that way, I shot back. I was always scrambling for the nods you snagged on auto. She blinked, stunned. Really? I figured Dad loved you more. He just babysat me 'cause I was wreckage. It hit like lightning. How we'd navigated the same storm from opposite shores. No pass for her sins, but maybe a foothold for grasping why. I want to see Lucas, she ventured as we wrapped. When he's set, if ever I get a no forever. I'll float it with him, I vowed, no locks. My father's overhaul stunned most. After years propping Amber and brushing off my cries, he'd cracked open his own rot. He sought a counselor solo, unthinkable for his era where shrinks screamed frailty. I botched both daughters. He owned in a hushed heart to heart. I babied Amber 'cause she echoed your mom, delicate, shield needy. I overlooked you 'cause you mirrored me or my ideal tough standalone. Neither got the real nurture. His raw truth stung yet soothed, a balm of visibility. For once Dad saw me. Not his echo but raw me, knots and cravings included. Eleanor, edging toward 79, eyed the unfolds with subtle triumph. The bat? Back in Dad's garage, but its echo thundered. A stark badge of when our family's poison got smacked down. Should have roared sooner. She pondered over a Sunday spread. Age brews wisdom sometimes, but often just guts to wield what you knew. Lucas, nearing 11, brewed a sage take on kin ties, wise beyond calendars. When a buddy wrestled parent wars, his counsel pinged the teacher, who looped me in. Lucas told Jamie sometimes adults lash out from inner hurts, but that doesn't greenlight the lash, she relayed. Key to forgive tryhards but slap boundaries and fall out too. I was floored by his heart smarts. Eleanor's echo rang in his spiel. Proof kids sponge the models around for glory or gloom. Reinviting Amber to Lucas's world crept in stages. First, watched video chats where she tuned into his worlds and wins. Then a quick park meet, David and me flanking. At last, a home dinner bid, hinged on her clean streak and civility. Dead sure. David probed the eve before. We can bail on doubts. Not fully, I confessed. But feels like the leap. Lucas deserves proof folks evolve, amends stick. Else, what's the takeaway from this storm? The meal? Tense but calm. Amber toted a Lucas gift. A tome on lady stargazers tuned to his vibe. No epic monologues or tear fests. Just chit-chat flow and post-meal cleanup. Everyday kin moves, heavy in their quiet weight. As summer swelled, our clan inched toward rebuild. Cracks showed like Kanugi art. Gold-veined pottery where breaks become lore, not shame. Some kin ties stayed slashed. Aunt Susan harped on our drama, till I quit defending to deaf ears. Others, spying Amber and Dad's glow up, wove back, embracing the revamp. One late August dusk, I caught Lucas backyard bound with his scope, my father at his side, tracing star stories in the deepening night. They didn't spot me lurking at the patio door, lost in their cosmic bond. That faint star up there? It's a massive galaxy billions of light years distant, my father murmured. The glow we're catching launched before humans even walked this earth. Lucas tweaked the telescope just so. So we're staring straight into history, not its current face. Spot on. By the light's arrival, the whole scene's flipped. But that doesn't dim its truth or its raw beauty. The accidental poetry in their star talk slammed into me. Our family too was glimpsing each other's ancient glows, owning the vast shifts since, yet clinging to the spark that endured. As Lucas's 11th birthday crept near, we tiptoed around party plans, shadows of last year's nightmare looming large. I still crave a bash, Lucas declared. But scaled back, just folks who lift me up. What cake dreams you got? I probed, heart and throat. He paused, gears turning. Keep it basic. But candles? Hell yes. One nightmare won't steal my flame forever. His grit hit me like a wave, tears blurring my vision. That's pure courage, Lucas. He shrugged it off. Great-grandma says bravery ain't dodging fear. It's charging through 'cause it counts. Lucas's 11th dawn crisp and balmy, skies wide open. The crowd? Trimmed down from last year's chaos, but brimming with raw, unfiltered warmth. Amber got the nod, tied to her sober streak and good vibes, which she'd nailed. She rolled in punctual, clear-eyed, toting a fitting kid gift. The cake emerged, a humble chocolate canvas dotted with stars, and silence gripped us all. Last year's inferno ghosted the room, unspoken but electric. Lucas faced it down, eyeing those 11 flames with a cocktail of thrill and dread. My father edged close, his hand a steady anchor on Lucas's shoulder. "Wish big, grandson," he whispered. "We're all locked in to toast you just as you stand." Lucas sucked in air, eyes shut tight for a beat, then whooshed out all 11 in a single blast. The tight-knit crew exploded in cheers, not just for doused wicks, but the raw men they signaled. As folks trickled out and cleanup kicked in, Eleanor cornered me in the kitchen bundling cake scraps. "You've nailed it, Natalie," she said, piling plates with me. "Not just today, these brutal months, you shielded your boy while cracking the door for atonement. That's a razor wire walk." Had a killer role model, I shot back, gripping her hand soft. She grinned, those eye crinkles etching deeper. Family's more than blood or chains. It's daily vows to honor and gentle each other. The ones who nail that, they're your real tribe, DNA be damned. As the kitchen clock clawed toward midnight, sealing Lucas's day, I sank into the whirlwind our clan had survived since that cake catastrophe. We'd shattered, stared down ugly realities, and inched toward a rebuild on solid ground. Not all tagged along. The fresh setup was slimmer, but forged tougher, truer, more soul-feeding. That cheek scar would bleach out till invisible, but the hard-won wisdom? Etched eternal in our saga. Protection sometimes demands a showdown. Healing craves space. And the kin you forge post-crack? Priceless. 'Cause it's picked, not handed down. Stowing the final party scraps, a calm washed over me, one-eyed chased forever. The road stretched on, scars still raw, but our stride held firm, steered by fierce love steel lines, and the hushed smarts of a 79-year-old firebrand who timed her bat swing to shatter the cycle. What would you do if kin scarred your kid? Chase hollow harmony at all costs, or draw blood-red boundaries, even if bonds snap? Drop your gut in the comments. If this tale punched you, hit like, sub up, and pass it to someone starving for the truth. Sometimes fencing off family is the deepest love for you and them. Thanks for hearing my storm. May you snag the guts to guard your core.